Not all animals are fortunate enough to have a good start in life, and the dog in today's story is a prime example. Despite his hardships, he demonstrated something so moving during his adoption process that it may bring you to tears. Join us as we explore this heartwarming tale. Crew, the dog that would eventually be named, came into the world as a street dog. His mother was a stray, and she gave birth to a litter of puppies. They resided on the outskirts of the town, near a river and a railway track. Despite several attempts by people to capture the litter, the family remained frightened and hesitant around humans. The mother dog was extremely timid and easily startled. Whenever humans approached, she would flee, and she passed on this fear to her offspring. As a result, it was challenging for anyone to approach them and provide assistance to the family. Even when people attempted to feed them, the mother dog was reluctant to allow them to get close. The mother dog was visibly malnourished due to her efforts to nurse her litter. Recognizing that her current situation was unsustainable, rescuers opted to leave food at a distance. They hoped that the mother's hunger would overcome her fear, and that she would manage to consume some of the food before her puppies could reach it. The strategy proved to be effective, with the majority of the food being consumed by the puppies, but the mother dog also managed to have a few bites. This was a significant achievement for the rescuers. However, they still lacked a concrete plan for how to capture all of them and provide long-term assistance. They worried about the puppies. They were starting to get bigger, and they would soon face a lot of threats. It was becoming dangerous to the mother and her babies. The rescuers knew that they would have to catch them off guard to get them all rounded up before they could go in different directions. It was going to be a massive undertaking. The rescuers got out and put a dog crate next to where the family usually slept. Inside the crate, they placed some food and hoped some of the puppies and their mommy would take the bait. It looked like everything was going really well. They got to catch the mom and some of the puppies. They'd all relaxed when they were finally back together, but one of the puppies kept running away. They tried to bribe him with food and to do anything else they could think of, but little Crew refused to get caught. He didn't trust any of the people that were surrounding him. Desperate to help him, 3 of the rescuers tried to corner him, but suddenly he ran away right between them and headed for the train track. The rescuers knew that the train track was inactive, but they still didn't want the puppies to go in that direction. That was when tragedy struck. The pup got too close to the tracks and his leg went through some tracks. There must have been jagged edges on the tracks too, because he scratched his ear and face against them. There were loads of blood all over the pup. It was streaming from his ear and face, but even with his leg caught on the track, he tried to get free and run from the rescuers. This wasn't a rescue that was going well, and everyone felt terrible about his injuries. He couldn't free himself, and the rescuers quickly put a blanket around him and freed his injured leg. It looked broken, and his ear and face were severely injured. They had to get him to a vet as soon as possible. This wasn't how any of them had envisioned the rescue going, but at least they were able to get all of the dogs off the streets, and they hoped that they would be able to get them all forever homes. The rest of the family had to get treatment for worms and fleas, but for the most part, they were given a clean bill of health. Soon the mother and all of her babies were adopted. The puppies went out especially quickly, but one of them remained. Crew was still very hurt. His ear and the side of his face were slightly deformed. They stitched it, but the edges were very jagged and they couldn't get everything perfectly lined up. But that was the least of their problems. His leg was indeed broken, but even worse, he had a wound on it too, and this wound quickly became infected. The dog was in major pain, and they only had one way that they could help him. They had to amputate his leg partially. He was young enough to quickly adapt, but was still going to be a struggle to get him back to health. But finally, he was mending. They were really happy about that, but he still didn't trust them. Just as they needed to do with his mother and siblings, they needed to win his trust. One of the rescuers, called Lawrence, took a lot of time to sit with him and to show him that people weren't going to hurt him. Slowly, Crew began to trust him, and the day that he licked Lawrence's hands for the first time was a huge victory. He was healthy by then, but he would always look different than other dogs. Despite being a sweet dog, his scars made him look fierce and scary. Families that came to adopt a dog would look at Crew, But the moment they saw him, the kids would run away and hide behind their parents. Everyone ran away from this dog just because he looked different. They judged him on his looks. It was super sad. No one was willing to give the fierce puppy a chance. But they didn't give up on him. Lawrence came in each day to take Crew for a walk and to help him adapt to life as a dog in the sanctuary. There were still a few things they could work on to make him the perfect family pet. Even if anyone ran away from this dog, he was becoming less aggressive each day that they had him. He loved to snuggle and play with the ball. It broke Lawrence's heart each time the pup was rejected, and he hated locking him up inside the cage each night when it was time to go home, and Crew hated living in the small cage too. Lawrence even considered adopting Crew as his own, but when he brought his own dog to introduce the two of them, things went really wrong. Both dogs took an instant dislike to each other, and they started growling the moment they lay eyes on each other. They tried a few more times, but it was clear that adopting the pup wasn't going to work for their family. They had to find another special home for Crew to live in. Finally, that came in the form of a family who had a child that had a lot in common with Crew. The child had a part of his leg amputated because of an accident, but he also had a few scars that made him look different from other people. Crew swiftly developed a close relationship with the young boy, who was amazed to discover that the dog had faced similar challenges to his own. Due to Crew's unique circumstances, the family's home had to meet certain requirements to accommodate his special needs, causing a delay in their approval to take him home. Before being permitted to adopt the pup, the family had to undergo a home inspection to verify that they could provide the necessary care for the dog over the long haul. After successfully passing all the evaluations, they were granted permission to retrieve their new furry companion. Despite everyone shunning this dog in the past, he was now on the verge of being adopted. What transpired next is bound to bring tears to your eyes. The family arranged a pickup time to bring him home. Lawrence made a point to be present to bid farewell. As they prepared to depart, the dog suddenly turned away from his new family and dashed back to Lawrence. He nudged himself into the man's embrace, seeking comfort and affection. Lawrence dropped to the ground and embraced the pup tightly in return. Although it was a poignant moment, he was thrilled that the dog would finally have a loving home, making it a bittersweet experience. After their embrace, Crew departed with his new family. The family had a deep affection for Crew, and he reciprocated it by adoring their young son, Lawrence. In recognition of the difficult times Crew had experienced, they ensured that he had regular visits with Lawrence. Witnessing Crew finally enjoying the wonderful life he deserved was a truly gratifying and heartwarming experience. I hope you liked this video. Please share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.